Let's get less depressing here for a moment. We'll stop talking about memory loss and let's move into something a little bit less contentious. Yes, somebody who you trifle with and you might result in something a little bit worse than just simply memory loss. You could end up with life loss. And you got the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC agree to pay and recognize that the Steele Dossier was total fucking nonsense and now they're going to have to fucking pay for it. Hillary Clinton's campaign and the DNC likely violated federal law. That's why they're being fined, by the way, by not accurately describing payments made to a law firm that funneled the money to ex-British spy Christopher Steele. Federal officials have ruled. So it's not quite lock her up yet. It's more or less make her pay. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Not promising anything and not saying anything's going to come out of any of this stuff at the end of the day, but, you know, a boy can dream. Federal Election Commission determined that there was probable cause to believe that the Clinton campaign and its treasurer, Elizabeth Jones, and the DNC as its treasurer, Virginia McGregor, misreported the purpose of certain spending and violated federal law according to documents made public on March 30th. That's today! The probable violations concern the $1 million payment to the law firm Perkins Coie, retained the parties to provide legal services ahead of the 2016 election, made in 2016 to a company called Fusion GPS. Remember how there was all of that hullabaloo, you know, when it came to Michael Cohen at the beginning of Trump's presidency, and oh my God, Trump used his lawyers for a bunch of nefarious means to pay off Stormy Daniels, and then to bundle money back and forth between him and the Russians. What exactly were the DNC and Hillary Clinton specifically doing? Exactly that in which they claimed Trump did. Once again, confession through projection. It never fucking fails. Clinton campaign paid $175,000 to Perkins Coie in mid-2016 for what it described in a disclosure as, shut your fucking mouth. Oh, I'm sorry, legal services. Legal services, huh? Wouldn't that normally be like at the end of the month or something like that? And wouldn't that just be kind of like recurring if you have a law firm on retainer? I'm just saying. The DNC paid $849,407 to a law firm around the same time for what it described as legal and compliance consulting. Oh, okay, so they had more lawyers that they consulted with, whereas Perkins Coie was being retained for their legal services. It's different. It's different. Trust us. Don't ask any more questions. Do you know who you're fucking with? Federal law requires political campaigns to report the name and address of each person they pay more than $200 per year and define the purpose of the payment. Yeah, they did. Legal services. What does that mean? Legal services. Oh, okay, cool. Complaint lodged with the FEC said the Clinton campaign, HFA, Hillary for America, I don't really know, and whatever, and the DNC, in 2018, said the parties made sure to hire operatives through Perkins Coie to shield their conduct from scrutiny. And who's the big lawyer from there? That would be Mark Elias, by the way, who worked very delicately with the DNC even through the 2020 election, because they were the ones also, and he was the lawyer of note or record on a bunch of those DNC lawsuits as well, for very upstanding and reputable calls as well. Mark Elias was also sanctioned by the Texas bar, or at least the Texas Attorney General, for some specific violations. I can't quite remember, but I do recall that. By intentionally obscuring their payments through Perkins Coie and failing to publicly disclose the true purpose of the payments, HFA and the DNC were able to avoid publicly reporting the statutorily required FEC disclosure forms and the fact that they were paying Fusion GPS to perform opposition research on Trump with the intent of influencing the outcome of the 2016 presidential election. Hey, that's what the DNC has been claiming for a long time. Somebody paid off somebody in order to influence the 2016 presidential election. Funny thing, it was Clinton who was doing it. Anyways, more in crazy news and less shocking things, but it is kind of Clinton adjacent. You got a bunch of deranged sexual abusers trying to make demands of the government. We got to shift the framing here a little bit. Disney executives outline gay agenda push for more queer characters in internal meeting, because this is all about the Florida Don't Say Gay bill, Parental Rights and Education bill. It's in law now, fucker, so deal with it. Executives and producers at the Walt Disney Company said during recent internal meetings that there will be a renewed effort to make leading characters in films and shows gay or transgendered, with one talking about how she, of course, all of these fucking showrunners for all of these terrible, awful, fucking easily digestible but hard to retain shows are all run by just second-rate female comedians that have no experience, and nobody gives a fuck about anything that they do outside of just, the snap clickbait articles and videos that people do. It's like, have you seen the recent Disney thing? And it's like, no, I haven't, and I know it's garbage. Well, guess what? It's garbage. And it's like, yeah, we know. Oh, but this one's different. It's not different. With one talking about how she has been working to enact a not at all secret gay agenda in several programs. Yeah, we can see it, because you guys are also really, really, really awful at story writing now, because it's just all your ideology. First and foremost, character development, story progression, be damned. It's just all about the message. Carrie Burke, president of Disney General Entertainment Content, said during the meeting that she is a mother of 2 queer children. Sorry about that, including one who identifies as a different gender than the one they were born with. Cool. They gave birth to 2 genetic dead ends. Congratulations, you failed. You failed. Burke said Disney has already been home to incredible, groundbreaking letters, stories for over the years. Can you cite any of them? Any of them that have a lasting impact on society? No. The ones that people remember Disney for are the likes of the Renaissance period, where they had like Aladdin, Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, and then before that with like Pinocchio and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and Sleeping Beauty. Nobody remembers anything in the interim. Oh yeah, right. There's all of those Pixar films, right? All of the ones that were successful in the 90s, and then you started to make these derivative sequels off the back of them, and they didn't do anything. So in order to maintain your relevance as a company, you just decided to swallow up different brands that were out there as well in order to maintain your media dominance that's out there. It worked for a minute with Star Wars, and then you had to continue to just shovel out all the shit. It worked excessively well with Marvel, but who's excited for, what's the new one, Moon Knight? I see that there's something when it comes to that, but who gives a fuck about the 4th, 5th, 7th phase of fucking Marvel films at this point? They're all the same story. Here, I'll save you nearly 3 hours for the next Marvel film. Superhero has action scene 1 of 3 that are probably or draped over the course of the 2.5 to 3 hours. Has a funny quip, meets up with the villain, gets beat down, has to regroup, most likely with the female of color, in order to conquer and defeat the villain of the week by the end. And then, yeah, you just wait through the credits at the end to figure out which keys are going to jangle to just make you come back for another one. And it's like, who gives a shit at this point if you're never actually going to pay off a storyline until like a decade down the road? You're eventually just going to start to burn out your fan base. But whatever, they don't care about that. The money train is theoretically good right now. All of these films are still making $500 million? Okay, $500 million. Black Widow, the Shang-Chi, another one. All of those ones, they're still making money-ish, and they can stomach some blows because it is the most successful movie franchise of all times, because it is 25 films at this point, a bunch of different series which don't have to make any money because it's just content that needs to be put out there. Nobody remembers any of this shit, okay? Like I said, the last Marvel film I checked out was Iron Man 3. I know it's garbage. I remember a couple of points in it, but I don't remember the entire 2.5 hour long runtime. Iron Man 2, hardly fucking remember that, and I know I've watched it at least twice. I can recall the first Iron Man when Disney had no input in any of those, and most of those Phase 1 films as well, but getting off on too much of a diatribe. Disney shovels propaganda. Propaganda has no lasting impact on society. There we go. Back on track. Whatever. Okay, cool. So here's a breakdown, because I'm not too sure what the updated language is, but not that I care, but just for posterity's sake and completion points, I guess. LGBTQ LGBTQIA stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, and asexual. Sweet. Just genetic dead ends. Introduction of the bill in Florida. Yes, the sexual orientation and gender identity cannot be taught to children kindergarten through the 3rd grade, but it's an attack on all whatever fruits that are out there, I guess, or some shit like that. What else is going on in Florida that they can continue to spurg out about? Florida's leading the charge on this one, with a bunch of other states, 20 in fact, joining in to sue to get rid of mask mandates. The same people who just love pushing a whole bunch of propaganda also love mask mandates because they just simp for the government and have no internal monologues to really think through problems themselves. They're simps to an ideology. They're going to be big mad about this as well, but stay mad. Ron's not going anywhere. Seeking to end a federal government mandate that requires people using public transportation to wear masks, Florida's Attorney General filed a lawsuit on March 29th representing 21 states that want the order halted. Now, the 14-month mask mandate from the Center of Disease Control and Prevention is unlawful. Attorney General Ashley Moody and Governor Ron DeSantis told reporters at a press conference at the state capitol. The mask mandate is set to expire on March 18th, but it was extended, through at least April 18th, and then we'll just review it, and then we'll just continue to try to kick the can down the road because we need something in the backdrop in case Ukraine and Russia don't do a nuclear war that we can't fucking campaign on the back of. So we need a backup plan. We need a backup crisis. So we'll just put COVID on the back burner for a minute. We'll just let Fauci continue to mutter off into the distance. Oh, there could be more restrictions. Shut up, you fucking midget. If you want to look at what's going on around the country and in Florida, DeSantis said, we've got to be very clear that we want people to make their own decisions. We don't believe in COVID theater. Exactly. If you want to wear a mask and get ridiculed for it, be my guest. Go for it. If you want to get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 fucking boosters, we'll be talking about that tomorrow at some point because there's some funny stuff when it comes to that as well. There's just only so many videos we can do in one day with a bunch of different topics, but regardless, if you want to do all that stuff, you want to get all the fucking Fauci juice, that's for you to decide. It's not for the government to tell you to do, okay? And that's what this is all about. Freedom of choice, okay? Freedom to not have the government tell you what you have to do and micromanage your life. Seems pretty sensible, right? No, the government is here to keep us safe. You're supposed to make a home here. Sure, shut up. Forcing people to wear masks on airplanes is not something that's grounded in any science. Yep, pretty much. Because also, I know it's not an airplane or anything like that, but it's an enclosed space with a bunch of people. 100% vaccinated cruise ship hit with a COVID-19 outbreak because it's safe and effective. Anyways, the policy hurts the people in the state who depend on tourism because we're the #1 state people seem to want to come to. Seems about right. Looking at census data that was released last year, I think people would want to fly here if they did. I think more people would want to fly here if they didn't have to wear masks on airplanes. That's what he's saying. 30-page lawsuit against the Biden administration was only part of what he had to say in the press conference. DeSantis also announced that he received Senate Bill 102 that morning and that his state's lawmakers, the bill would redraw congressional districts. He's vetoed it and sent it back to the House, by the way, in case that's he vetoed the bill, announced legal concerns regarding racial gerrymandering. I'm sure they'll figure it out. He called a special session. Yes, it also has that detailed there in April. I just want to get to the states that are joining this. Okay, so Florida was joined in a lawsuit by probably all of those hillbilly flyover states, right? Alabama, Arkansas, Alaska, Arizona, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Utah, Virginia, and West Virginia. It's a pretty good cross-section of most of the country, by the way. So this will be interesting because this is a pretty substantial lawsuit, by the way. So maybe it's a decision that the Supreme Court will have to rule on. And when it comes to regular people, okay, they seem to be, pretty good about that, as opposed to government institutions like, the Navy or the Marine Corps, which they kind of sided on or gave deference to the government when it comes to enforcing the jab or not, and then healthcare workers as well, but that one's from a while back. But the Armed Forces one, that one just came down recently thanks to Kavanaugh and Barrett caving to religious exemptions because they're good conservatives, right? And there's just this overwhelming amount of conservative influence on the Supreme Court. Yeah, there's like 2, maybe 3 on a given day. Yeah, no, overwhelming majority, right? Just far right conservatives on that bench. Sure thing, pal. But what do we know here? Well, masks in the United States on interstate travel being challenged. Disney still overpopulated with a bunch of fucking weirdos trying to indoctrinate your children. And then the wife of one of the biggest sex pests in American history has been outed as a Russian collaborator. It just kind of seems like a day ending in Y now, doesn't it? With all of that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. Why don't you follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.